Alright, today we're doing an easy breezy Q&A video. Let's get going because I think I got way too many questions. Alright, so, first up, who is your favorite of all the cat characters we know? That would be Percy. Least favorite subseries in your opinion? That's Air Rescue. I hate the inequality of it. Which members, pups and or cats, would you want to see return in the new pipeline? All of them. If you could decide which character would get a dream episode next, who'd you choose? I would choose Sky, since she hasn't had one yet. What do you value most in a sub-series? Balance of pup usage, good incorporation of the sub-series theme, good emergency stories, or a mix of them all? Yeah, all of those, and it's preferable if there's a cute sub-series pup as well. Alright, what are you most excited about for the Dino movie? Rex and Marshall interacting more? What is your favorite season of Paw? I go between 1, 2, and 3. Who is your favorite Marshall VA? Gage Munro. And what is your favorite sub-series? Rescue Knights. Next up, I only have one question. What's your top 3 favorite Paw Patrol pups? Well, this is going to come up quite a few times, so I'm just going to put my ranking here. Top 3 are Marshall, Rocky, and Claw. Though sometimes Arby takes that number 3 slot. Alright, who is your biggest inspiration? Like, in the world ever? Isaac Newton, I guess. Who is your favorite YouTuber? Probably Video Game Donkey. What do you like more? Paw Patrol Movie 1 or Mighty Movie? You've probably seen the review now. Number 1. How old have you been when you first started watching Paw Patrol? No personal questions like that, please. Do you like more Japanese dubbing or English dubbing for Paw Patrol? The English. Generally, I like the original dub of anything. So, Japanese anime, I'll watch in Japanese. English language programming, that's in English for me, please. When will you make tutorial for Paw Patrol animation in Blender? Never. You don't want to animate like me. There's good ways to animate, and there's how I do it. Learn from the good tutorials. If you could voice any of the pups for an episode, which one would you want to do the voice for, and why? Well, Marshall, of course. That's who I did in my fan animation.
Oh, is that what we were doing?
And he's, of course, my favorite character. What inspired you to make this channel and start making fan-made animation? Well, I started the channel just as a place to deposit my fan animation at first, but then a lot of people kept referencing my news and updates from Twitter and often getting the details wrong, so I thought I would be better off making the news myself if I wanted to see it done right. So I started making news videos about the Dino movie, and it built up from there. As for fan-made animation, well, actually the Kids Bob version of No se habla de Bruno in Spanish, we don't talk about Bruno's Spanish version, randomly played on my plane headphones when I was on a long-haul flight. And in my head, I could just see the pups, and I thought, I want to see that animated. And at first I thought, maybe I'll pay someone else to do it, and then I realized how crazy expensive that would be, and thought, if I wanted to see it done, I'll have to do it myself. And then I figured putting it together would be a great way to learn, which it was. Who's better, Luke Stars or the recent rainbow-haired singer girl? I'd say Sierra Sparkle. They're pretty interchangeable, so I think her design is more interesting. Even though, of course, she's a Rubble and Crew interloper. If you could change the core team to include any 6 pups from the show, who would you change and keep, and why? I'd keep them all, but swap out Rubble for Claw. No, but as a more serious answer, I would actually love to see Rex just join the core team. Maybe more as just an animal specialist than specifically a dino specialist. I actually think it would be really fun if for the first time in a decade the theme song changed and when Marshall, Rubble, Chase, Rocky, Zuma, Sky, Rex, they're on the way. It would work, you don't need a yeah. What is something you wish the series would do more of or explore further? And who is your least favorite sub-series pup? Well, I wish the series would explore the interpersonal relationships between the pups more, have them interact and show their friendships more than they have been. And as you can see, my least favorite sub-series pup is Hubcap. How many seasons do you think Paw Patrol will get before they end the show? I think it will go on until the heat death of the universe. No, but it makes so much money, I don't see it stopping anytime soon. One of the co-founders of Spin Master, if I recall correctly, said they wanted it to be a generational show that, kids who grew up watching it would see their kids grow up watching. So yeah, I think 25 seasons is the bare minimum, and it's more likely going to be 50 plus. Okay, what got you into Paw Patrol? This is a pretty popular question, and it's a kind of strange story. So, a few years ago, friends and I were discussing really, over-the-top, politically correct newspaper articles from newspapers like The Guardian in the UK. And they wrote really, over-the-top far left opinions. The one that like got us talking was one that said like Thomas the Tank Engine was really racist because the good engines blew out white steam and the bad engines blew out black steam. You can look that up, that's a real thing. And then that kind of led us on to one that said like Paw Patrol is really fascist. Like it leads little kids onto the fascist pipeline. And I thought that was just so absurd. I thought I'd had to like see it to see what they were talking about. And then when I watched it, I kind of fell in love with the sweet little pups. Okay, which pup would you want as a pet IRL? Well, Marshall, of course, would be my top choice, but I take pretty much all of them in the top 3 tiers here. And I mean all at once. And then any tips for collecting paw-related merchandise? Well, be in Japan, it's where all the best stuff is. Next, are there any specific dog breeds you want to see in the show that haven't shown up yet? Well, Shiba Inu would be nice. We've come pretty close several times. I'd like to see a Yorkie, maybe as a kind of foil to Sweetie's Westie. And actually, I think it would be really interesting for the show to have a male poodle. Poodles are like always female characters in cartoons. Like, even though cats are female and dogs are male, that's the kind of usual setup. But poodles are always the exception, they're always girls. So I think it would be kind of interesting to see a male poodle. Okay, which pup and cat do you think you relate to the most and why? Actually, even though Marshall's my favorite, I relate the most to Rocky. I'm definitely more like Rocky than I am like Marshall, or any of the others. If you could bring back any of the old characters into the new pipeline, who would they be and why? Well, all of them. Okay, have you read Paw Patrol fanfictions before? No, never. Do you want to hear one of my Paw Patrol fanfictions anytime? No, thank you. Have you ever met the Paw Patrol creators before? No, I haven't. Do you watch anime? Yes, I do, quite a lot. Alright, and with plenty of capital letters, do you think Zuma will have a spin-off of his own? No, I'm afraid I don't think he will. I'd like him to, but you can tell that Spin Master just don't think he's, marketable enough. Who's your most favorite pup and human ever? Well, Marshall is the pup, and the human, maybe Katie? Will Paw Patrol have any crossovers with others' show? Not in Paw Patrol itself, but in, you know, idents and short music video promos and things like that. I expect that'll continue to happen. What your favorite season and episode of Paw Patrol? Oh, lots of people ask this. We'll see more of these to come. My favorite season, I've said before, goes between 1, 2, and 3. My favorite episode also changes sometimes, but right now it's probably A Pup in Sheep's Clothing. Then, do you think Ella, Coral, and Tuck will return to the show? I do think they will, but maybe not until there's a kind of all paws on deck 2, which is potentially like 8 years away. But my preference would definitely be for them to show up sooner. Okay, these guys also asked about my favorite Paw Patrol episode, which I just answered. Then what causes you to love Paw Patrol? It's very cute, and I fell in love with the character writing in the early seasons. Who's my favorite? Marshall. And who's my least favorite? Well, you can see it is Dolores. Although actually that's just of the pups. My least favorite character? Well, it's probably Digi and Tal. Though I did also intensely dislike Percy the Elf and the Genie guy. Alright, fave Subseries we've answered. Fave human character, probably Katie. Least fave pup of the main 8, that'll be Rubble. How many things are in your collection and what is the most expensive? There's over 1,000 items, well over 1,000. Not sure what the most expensive is. Well, if you count The Art of Paw Patrol, the movie, the book, for how much it usually sells for on eBay, I guess it would be that. And I guess for toys, it's probably my Build-A-Bear Rocky. Then, do you live in Japan? Let's skip the personal questions. Alright, what do you think is the worst Paw Patrol episode? I mean, this could be really hard considering most of the modern episodes. No, I think that's pretty easy. For me, that's Pups Save a Big Brother. Alright, favorite villain outside of Mayor Humdinger? Well, Mayor Humdinger isn't even in the conversation. That would be Claw, with Arby close behind. You like any human characters on the show? Yes, as I've said, I like Katie, but I also like Carlos, Mr. Porter, Captain Turbot. I actually like quite a lot of the humans. I like Traveling Travis, for example, and Winnie Whittington that a lot of the fandom can't stand. And yeah, broadly I like Ryder as well. If Paw Patrol made an episode with Wheeler or Speedmeister, what do you think the mission will be like? Considering Wheeler loves to clean, my guess is Humdinger makes a big mess. Yeah, sure. I don't think Speedmeister will ever come to the main show, but yeah, Wheeler cleaning up, that sounds like it would make sense. What are your predictions for Paw Patrol the Dino movie? Mine is Marshall will be the main character of the movie. I don't think that really counts as a prediction anymore, though I am proud of figuring it out over 2 years ago. Otherwise, I'm predicting it'll be pretty great, but I'm a little worried Rex won't get that much screen time. Do you think will be a Paw Patrol 4 movie focused on in Rocky and let it be more darker? I hope it's so much. Probably not. I don't think they see Rocky as marketable either. Okay, what's your favorite Rocky-centric episode? That would most likely be the Werepuppy episode. What's your ranking on the villains? You can see them up here. That's the villain pups. I haven't bothered to make a human villains ranking. Okay, what got you into Paw Patrol and what got you into animating? We've answered those ones already. If you had to change one thing about the show, what would it be and why? Well, I would be in charge of the writer's room. If you had to choose a cast-rate Paw Patrol series where they were all teens, who would you choose? Nobody. I would stay far away from that. What theories do you have for Marshall's traumatic backstory in Paw Patrol the Dino movie? I would actually like it to be that Marshall has an older owner, and she doesn't, pass away, but she feels she can't take care of this clumsy puppy anymore. So she has to give him up for adoption to Ryder, and even though, Marshall has to go along with this, he feels really responsible for it. That would be what I would think would be really moving, but also, not too melodramatic. Do you believe there'll be more Paw Patrol films? Yes, I've made a video about that recently. What theories and ideas do you have for Rocky, Rubble, and Zuma if more Paw Patrol movies are made? Well, I don't think they will get to be the stars of the movie. I think it will just get up to the third movie, and then we'll cycle back and start having, ensemble stars. The stars will remain Chase, Sky, and Marshall, and maybe within a kind of Chase, Sky, Marshall-centric story, the other pups might get flashbacks. But I don't think they'll get to lead. Can you do one with the ferret again? I don't understand. What faces can you make with your avatar? Well, there's these ones. There are more, but I'd have to set them up separately, and that's effort. Then will Paw Patrol the movie 4 be making the kittens the villain for Revenge on Liberty? No. Next, why do you love Marshall so much? And why? I love Marshall so much because he's the kind of pure-hearted character I always fall for. I love characters that are just straightforwardly good. They want to bring happiness to other people around them. They are very cheerful and upbeat, but a little bit insecure and shy as well. So basically, Marshall is dead on what I like to see in a character. I think probably the most similar character to him is Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Next, will you ever make an album from your music fanmations? No, because I don't own any of that music. What is your favorite episode from Paw Patrol? We've covered that. Have you ever thought about using your upgraded avatar in your videos? I guess by upgraded avatar you mean the one that's in the intro. I tried to use it, but I didn't really understand Unity, so I ended up with this slightly more gray version, which is more the default that I tried to alter. So no, because it would be very complicated, and I didn't understand why I didn't already have that avatar when I set it up. Alright, next, did you watch the Paw Patrol Object Battle? I did not. Who's your favorite character from that? I didn't watch it. Who's your least favorite character? Again, I didn't watch it. Alright, what country are you from? Too personal. Do you have pets? Yes, I have a rabbit. Alright, how long you're been as Paw Patrol fan? I haven't been a Paw Patrol fan nearly as long as some people in the fandom. I only really got into it in 2021. Then how did you learn animation beforehand, and what program did you use for animation? I use Blender for my animation. I just learned by trial and error using it. I had previously played around with 2D animation in Autodesk, and weirdly enough, one of the old Vocaloid Project Diva games let you do little animations, and that's you could only choose from preset animations, but that kind of prepared me for how Blender worked in advance a little bit. Alright, next, I should have specified one question per person. Okay, how long have you been a YouTuber? Like 2 years? A year and a half now? Why is Marshall your favorite pup? I just answered that. What's your favorite superpower from Paw Patrol? Probably Rocky's Green Lantern powers in the show. If you could turn any of the pups into anything, who would you pick? What would you turn them into, and why? I don't have any particular desire to turn the pups into anything else. Have you considered making your own Paw Patrol movie? I mean, I've daydreamed about it, but I don't have, $30 million to make a movie with. And then, what's your favorite holiday special? If Friendship Day counts, it's probably Friendship Day. Alright, moving on. What do you like and dislike the most about Paw Patrol? I like the cute characters the most. So, a combination of well-defined characters and cuteness. And I dislike how the writing has become so lazy and formulaic and sidelines the pups and their characters so much lately. Will you ever go hiatus? Do you want me to? No plans to. Which particular Paw Patrol character do you want to come back the most? Claw. What do you think is the most well-written character of Paw Patrol? Good question. Maybe it's a cop-out, but yeah, I think it's Marshall. He can be written very one-dimensionally as just like an airhead who tells bad jokes, but he had the most episodes early on where he actually developed, showed insecurity and nervousness and overcame it, and grew. So yeah, it's Marshall. Then how many languages have you learned or are planning to learn? Well, I can have a conversation in English, Japanese, French, maybe at a stretch Portuguese, though it's been a long time since I learned or went to Brazil. Alright, your top 5 favorite and or least favorite episodes? I'm sorry, I don't want to do a list at this point. If you could come up with a new sub-series, what would it be? I'd like to see their pirate adventures become more fleshed out with Arby in the lead. Your favorite voice actors for the core 6? Probably just their season 1 voice actors, except for Chase I would prefer Max Kalinescu. And what about some of your favorite dubbed voices from any other dub you've heard? Marshall and Rocky in the Japanese dub are very, very cute, especially since they're, the voice actresses are adult women. And I do have a soft spot for Scottish Everest. Okay, next, a couple we've already answered, and then which backstory is sadder in your opinion? Probably Sky's are the ones we've seen so far. I mean, Chase's is sad, of course, but it's more kind of high-tension, adrenaline-fueled couple of seconds of a puppet whose life is in danger. So the sadness doesn't really develop there. And then, another one we've answered already. Alright, what episode was your favorite to review? Probably Friendship Day, because there's so much to like. What's your favorite Paw Patrol animation that you've made on your animation channel? Well, I guess I'd have to say my Cup Trick animation, the latest full animation I've made. Having actual original voice acting was a real thrill, and I made a lot of effort to make it kind of more natural, and I think that paid off. How long have you been collecting Paw Patrol merchandise? Probably over 3 years now. Who are the best characters? Well, you can see them right up there. And what's your favorite Paw Patrol song to listen to? Probably the Friendship Day song. Alright, if there is one thing you would change about how the current episodes are written, what would you change? I would make sure each episode is centered on a pup, a problem they're facing, or some ambition they have that week, and how the pups work together to solve any problems they encounter, like it used to be in the early seasons. Okay, if there is a 4th movie, what do you hope the theme will be? I think it should be the Dragon movie. And what pup would you like to see being the focus? Well, I'd like it to be Marshall again, but that would be 2 in a row. I think it would be more of an ensemble piece. And what's your favorite toy line from Paw Patrol? If I can count the Hallmark ornaments, then it would be those. That's really high quality stuff. Or for plushes, probably the Japanese kawaii style ones. But if it has to be mainline stuff from Spin Master, I think the Movie 2 toys are probably the best ones they've done so far. Alright, what season do you think was the downfall? Well, none of those. I think Season 10 was the turning point. Which subseries would you like to see return? Rescue Knights. And would you like to see more episodes of Super Pups, Pup Foo, and All-Star Pups someday? Since we got more than one Sky's Road Trip rescue episodes. Yeah, I'd like to see those come back, although I don't really mind if they don't. Alright, what would happen if Paramount Pictures, Nickelodeon Movies, and Spin Master made a fun biographical movie series about Keith Chapman, the creator of Paw Patrol, with animation identical to the first seasons? I think it would flop horribly because I don't know who would want to see that. Did you see any episodes of Paw Patrol? Yes, I've seen some. And are you a fan of the Broadway musical Wicked? Well, enough of a fan to make a fan animation of Defying Gravity. But I'm not a huge fan. I didn't go and see the movies. I saw it on Broadway, and that was great. But outside of Defying Gravity, I could probably only hum you a few lines of The Wizard and I, and that's all I can actually remember of it. Whereas I can probably sing you the whole of Les Miserables or the Lion King musical from memory. Alright, what songs you like the most for It's Good Time and Closer? What, you mean the Nine Inch Nails song Closer? I wanna... wait, no, that would be very inappropriate. I'm guessing you mean the Chainsmokers song? So, do you mean, like, all songs in the world? In which case, probably my favorite is In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson. Will you be my friend? Let's get to know each other a little bit first, huh? What pup you like the most? Marshall, yeah, we agree on that. Did you watch my videos in my channel? I probably clicked on your channel at some point, yeah. And what pup vehicle you like the most? You like Marshall's fire truck and your Christmas Coca-Cola semi-truck from Beam Drive. I like the Ultimate Rescue fire truck the most, probably. Alright, 5 questions here too. How did you start running your channel? At first it was just a place to drop work in progress on my animation. Why did you become interested in animation and reviews? Well, I want to animate the things I'd like to see, so that's a lot of fun and a challenge for me, a great hobby. And as for reviews, I was already reviewing the episodes on my Twitter each time they aired, so it was natural to make a transition to making videos of them. And who are your favorite Paw Patrol YouTubers? My favorite has to be Spark Frog. He makes amazing animations. Then, yeah, other animators like Flying Endeavor, Perfect, Dude Perfect, I need to look it up. Dude Person Guy Thing, of course. Also, Shaq Avenue, is that? And yeah, generally all of the amazing animators out there. Alright, let's skip to which dog breed would you be if you could be in the Paw Patrol? Even though I'm using this avatar, I don't really see myself as anything but a human. But if I was really forced, I'd probably be a golden retriever, but without a funny hairstyle like Duckanella. If you could write an episode of Paw Patrol, what would it be? Well, I've written several episodes, but I'm going to keep them to myself because I'm still having my little daydream that one day they'll be made. Do you have any ideas for a spin-off series? Yes, I have plenty of ideas. What's the number one thing that needs to change to improve the quality of the show and help longevity of the franchise? Character focus. They are, at the moment, taking a very easy way out, which is to ignore all character writing and bring in writers totally unfamiliar with the characters, and instead just have something roll downhill or Humdinger steal something, and then interchangeable pups stop that from happening, finish episode. This, of course, connects with nobody on an emotional level. Do you think the recent news of targeting a slightly older audience will be successful? Do you think deeper stories like the movies should be done more often? No, I think people are misunderstanding what they mean by slightly older audience. They mean very slightly, like instead of 4-year-olds, we're talking 6-year-olds. So it's not suddenly, teenage angst kind of a storyline. And no, I don't think there's really scope for movie-style storytelling here. But what they can do is, write episodes that have some emotional resonance in that scale, like they did in the early days, and very rare newer episodes like Pup Save a Floating Royal Carriage have managed to do. Because, you know, pups save a friend, or pups save a herd. They have characters having a kind of moral quandary, or being in emotional distress, and resolving that, which is exactly where they should be with the show and what they should do more often. You know, it doesn't have to be Bluey, but they should look to Bluey a little more than they are now. What do you foresee for the future of the franchise? Are there any developments you expect will happen or want to happen? I do think the show will improve. I think it's starting to show some signs of it, even if it's not really getting there very quickly. And what I want to happen is for them to give me a spin-off. Let me show you how it's done. Alright, what is your best video animation you made? Well, the most technically accomplished one is the copy trick animation. What is your age? I'm not answering that. What computer you have? I have a desktop PC. Probably the thing you want to know most is what graphics card I'm using, and I am using a 3070 Ti. Then, do you inspired Spark Frog animation to make music video and parodies as a fan animation because is amazing video you made? I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but if you mean were you inspired by Spark Frog animation, yes I was. He's the one who really showed that this could be done, that we could make fan animations that, you know, they don't look exactly like the show, but comparable. Alright, what was your first impression of Rex? Very cute. What are you looking forward to seeing in Dino Movie? Lots of interaction between the characters, that's the most important thing. And if you could team up with any of the pups, which would be and why? I'll pick the top row up here. Next, do you like foxes? Sure. Would you ever want to be a fox? No. Would you ever want to play with a fox? Sure. Would you ever want to meet me? No. Alright, are you rich? These things are relative. Would you ever visit Sparta Lake City? Is that Salt Lake City, the Sparta remix? Can Marshall gets married? Probably not. No, he's a child. And are you into Pride Month? Well, I did make an animation for it, but I wouldn't say I'm into it exactly, no. Alright, well, the lad has 8 questions. Which 5 pups do you like? Please see above. What are the strengths and qualities of the 5 pups you value the most? Cuteness and distinctive personalities. What qualities do you dislike? None. What are your 5 least favorite pups? See above. What qualities do you dislike them? They're annoying. What are your 5 favorite episodes? Don't give me a homework assignment. What are your 5 least favorite episodes? See above. Are there any episodes you would like to change? Yes, I would like to change season 12 episode 10A to not exist. Alright, if we got a special that introduced the main 8 pups' parents, what do you see as a plot for such a special? I don't see that ever happening. It's too complicated and too weird to then remove them. Which pairing is more likely to be confirmed as canon, Chase and Sky or Marshall and Everest? I don't think either of them are remotely likely to be confirmed, but of these two, Sky and Chase, because that at least did seem to be getting, you know, built up to in seasons 1 and 2, whereas I see nothing indicating Marshall and Everest have any kind of romantic connection ever. Alright, what is your favorite episode? We've covered that. Will you make a Letterboxd account? No, probably not. Okay, I think we've covered pretty much all of these. Let's go to the last one. How do you feel about Rubble and Crew, Rocky's Garage, Sky's Music Party, and To the Rescue? I like Rocky's Garage quite a lot. I thought that was very charming. It had some really dud episodes, and it did leave Zuma out, which stung, but overall it was good stuff. And as for all the others, they have the odd moment that's really good. You know, 1 or 2 videos or episodes that I like a lot, but generally they weren't great. Though I am definitely looking forward to Wheeler coming into the main show. Alright, can you describe how you felt back when you first watched Paw Patrol when it came out? I didn't see it until a long time after it came out, but I felt warm and fuzzy. What is or are your least favorite Marshall, Rocky, and or Rex moments? Well, Marshall is clear. It's in season 12, episode 10A. Rocky, I can't think of anything. Yeah, I don't immediately recall anything, any negativity. I guess with Rex was when he disappeared from all paws on deck and we didn't see him again for years. But he's back now, so that's fine. What is your favorite Paw Patrol merch you've ever owned? Well, it's probably the Hallmark Marshall with Christmas lights around him. When I first saw the render of it, I just didn't think they would be able to make it, but they did, and it looks like it just stepped out of the show, which I'm still impressed by. Alright, how did you start collecting Paw Patrol stuffed toys? I just did. I just bought one or two. How much fans love your Paw Patrol animations and your views? Hopefully they love them a lot. Alright, what do you think about Paw Patrol's new episode ideas? Are they good or just like repetitive? Yeah, they're pretty repetitive and formulaic. They just stick to the same formula way too much. But this latest season has been slightly better. Also, when are you doing this Q&A? Right now, and it's taking a long time. Okay, let's skip to do you play many video games, and if so, which do you like playing most often? Yeah, I like RPGs a lot. I like Kingdom Hearts, the Final Fantasy series. I like Chrono Trigger, Suikoden 1 and 2. I'm looking forward to those being re-released. And yeah, lately I've played Deltarune quite a lot. I've also spent many hours on rhythm games and played way too much League of Legends in my time. Alright, what kind of backstory did you envision for the origin of Paw Patrol? I like the idea that Ryder just took Chase in, and then Chase had a really strong sense of justice, and eventually they decided to make him into like a police pup to help out in the local community, and it just built up from there and kind of snowballed. Then, if Ryder's parents do appear in the show, how do you want it to be? A special or a normal episode? Yeah, definitely a special. I don't think this is ever going to happen, but if it did, it would need to be an occasion, you know. Alright, if Paw Patrol got a new pup, what breed of dog do you think it would be, or which pup would you choose? Yeah, a Shiba Inu would be nice. Alright, do you think the episodes in the spin-off are better, equal, or worse to the current episodes in the main show? I still think they're a little bit worse because the characters are just much less likable than in the main show, but neither of them have a great standard of writing, and obviously none of the above matches up to early seasons of Paw Patrol. Favorite season? It fluctuates between 1, 2, and 3, the last one I've covered. If Paw Patrol gets a series finale in the final, do you want the pups grown up and have kids, and lets their kids join the Paw Patrol? No, I desperately do not want that. I don't ever want to see them grow up, and I made a video about that here. What do you think Marshall's backstory going to be about? I think it's going to revolve around him messing up a lot. And then, are you excited for Coyote vs. Acme? Sure, not Paw Patrol related. Alright, how do you think Mighty Pups would return? I don't think they will. If they did, would they introduce a new mechanic like Charged It Up? No, I don't think it's going to happen. Do you believe the Were-Puppy should be a real thing? No, it's a weird mythological creature, so a dream seems right. What is the worst villain in your opinion? Can I count Digi and Tal? Do you wish Precious's owner would return with a more fleshed out character? I don't really care. What do you believe is the worst subseries? Air Rescue. Alright, if you were hired to write an episode, what would it be? I talked about that before. I'm still, convincing myself there's still a chance my episodes will be made one day, so I'm not going to talk about them. Should Paw Patrol introduce a border collie? Sure, why not? From this, let's answer, it's likely movie 4 won't focus on a specific pup, but which pup would you want the protagonist to be? Rocky, because he's my number 2. Why is Rex and Marshall your favorite Paw Patrol pups? They're not. Marshall is my number 1, but Rex is number 5. But they both have very cute personalities that resonate with me. What are your opinions on the Mighty Twins, and do you think they should come back? I really like them. I think they've got 2 distinct personalities that more could be made of. I would definitely like to see them come back, but Ella's a bit of a problem to ride around because she's very OP in this universe. She can basically do all the jobs of all the other pups on her own. But still, yeah, as characters I like them, so I would like to see them return. Alright, rank these 10 seasons. No thanks, not right now. What was the first episode you watched? I think it was just Pups Make a Splash. Does it strike you that Zuma only has 2 lines? Oh, we talked about this in the comments. He has 10 lines. And also gets to do a lot of very cool things. I think movie 2 is actually very good to Zuma, even if he doesn't speak that much. Which song from the show is your favorite? Probably the Friendship Day song. Do you wish Paw Patrol explored more mature topics? No, absolutely not. I made a video about that, as I said before. What would you do to Paw Patrol if you were put in charge of the show? I would mandate a lot more character interaction and emotion-based storytelling, and I would bring in a new era where any of the Subseries pups could just show up at any time. Do you see Marshall and Everest as a couple? We touched on this No, absolutely not. I don't get that ship at all. I don't think they have any chemistry, and I feel like people just put like number 2 boy pup with number 2 girl pup, and that's as deep as it got. And finally, for our last very meaningful question, how much catchphrase is Rocky? Rocky is very catchphrase. Alright, that's all for today. See you guys again next time.